Arash – знаменитый американский лайф-коуч из Аризоны, гуру в области продаж, партнер с легендарным Боб Проктором, которого вы наверняка знаете из нашумевшего фильма «Секрет», и коуч номер 1 в компании Life Success Production. Девиз Араша – вы готовы создать жизнь своей мечты? Позвольте мне показать вам, как. 10 минут общения с Арашем может перевернуть всю вашу жизнь. Он умеет увидеть самую большую проблему еще до того, как вы о ней расскажете. И что самое главное, он поможет вам ее решить. Дамы и господа, встречайте Араш Расуки.
Okay, hello Arash. Thank you so much for being here today with me. Thank you that you agreed to make this little interview, because I believe that people who will listen to us, they will get lots of benefits from our conversation. So let's jump straight to the business. And my first question is, can you please tell a little bit about yourself and how did you begin? What difficulties you had to face and how did you achieve your success?
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Ina. Well, first of all, I had started studying personal development back in 2006. I was 27 years old. And I really, one of my goals was to create financial freedom doing what I love. I just could not figure out what I loved. And I kept reading, going to seminars, doing online trainings, but nothing was working. And I came to a big moment in my life. It was about 5 years ago. I was working at a company doing sales, and I was earning about $100,000 a year. And my company sold, and a new company came in and wanted to cut my pay in half. And all this happened 3 weeks before my wedding. Anyway, I decided to quit because I knew if I kept doing what I was doing, nothing was going to change. And everyone thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy because I didn't have a lot of finances available that I did a good job of managing my money. I didn't. Anyway, that day I went to lunch with a mentor of mine, and he connected me. He told me I need to talk to his friend, and his friend is Bob Proctor. I ended up getting on the phone with Bob, and Bob asked me a few questions. And he said, first of all, what do you want? And I said, I want to create financial freedom doing what I love. He says, what do you love? I said, I don't know. Anyway, he said, that's okay. You made a great decision today because now you can create real freedom. He said, if you want my help, what I would recommend you do is go through my 13-month coaching program. He said, do exactly what I tell you, not half of what I tell you, not 3/4. And I'll never forget it. This was like the time in my life that I look back to. Even though my results didn't change, this conversation is when everything changed. And I said to him, I'd love to do it. How much it is? And he said, what does it matter how much it is? It's not whether you can afford to do it. Can you afford not to do it? And that was like a punch in my stomach that opened my eyes. And I ended up doing the coaching program, came home and told my wife, my fiance at the time, my wife now, I said, I just lost my job and I invested in a $7,000 coaching program. Anyway, she was nervous. I was nervous. I was scared, but it was the best thing I ever did because I did everything Bob told me to do. And then within 7 months, my income improved dramatically by 25 times.
Wow.
Anyway, I kept doing what he told me, and a couple years later, I was asked by Bob to run his coaching and sales department for 6 Minutes to Success, and then eventually Life Success Production. And now I do what I love. I work from home. I travel. I'm actually heading out to the Matrix, one of Bob's seminars, in a couple weeks. And my life has changed dramatically. But it was from that one point. I always look back, and I always tell my clients, the number one key to success, in my opinion, is decision making.
Yeah.
It's about doing whatever it takes, not what's convenient. You know, because there's a difference between being interested and being committed. When we're interested, we do what's convenient. When we're committed, we do whatever it takes. We accept only results, not excuses.
That's absolutely true, because that's exactly what's happened with me. I remember 2.5 years ago, we had a similar conversation. I spoke with you, And you introduced me to the, as well, 13-month program with Bob, and I think everything starts from there. I start actually from 6 minutes to success, but a huge breakthrough was exactly from the Bob coaching program. That's amazing. Okay, the second question, when people decide to change their life or results in their life, and of course what most of them face is negative environment. Your friends or your family members mostly, they're not supportive. So my question is, how do you stay focused and how do you stay positive, and how doesn't let that negativity which surrounds you affect your decisions, your wishes, your goals? Like how to stay on track when you want to achieve something.
That's a great question, because I don't know anybody who doesn't face that, because I faced it myself. I remember everyone in my support group thought I was crazy. What you have to do is you have to be strong enough to not worry about what other people think, because this is your life, and I promise you, if you do the work and you do what you teach, what I teach, what Bob teaches, your results are going to change dramatically. And what I recommend is only tell the people that support you. Don't pay any attention to the negativity, but the best way not to pay attention to it is don't let a lot of people know it if they're not going to support it. Because if they don't, I like to call them a dream stealer. They steal your dreams, they'll bring you down, then this voice in your head will say, well, maybe they're right. They're not right. See, we trade our lives for what we do, and it's much riskier not to do it than it is to do it. Because I promise you the reward is far greater. But my biggest advice is lead by example, because I noticed for me personally with my support group, everyone came around when they started seeing the results change. So don't pay any attention to people that say something behind your back or say anything.
What if it is like your wife or if you're living with the parents, it's your parents? Because in Russia, for example, most people, they live in the families, and for example, all the people with who you're living, they're not supporting you, and how to deal in that situation.
Well, yeah, what I recommend is just say you don't have to agree with what I'm doing, but just if you're not going to agree, just don't say it in front of me. You can say it to whoever you want, just don't say it in front of me, and just let me have a good shot at this until I prove that this is wrong. Then you can say something. But if you have to say something, just say it behind my back or don't say it while I'm around, because, I tell husbands and wives, I go through this. And actually yesterday, a lady I was talking to, she said, I really want to work with you guys, but how am I going to do it? My husband thinks what I'm doing is crazy. And I said, I'm not going to tell you not to tell your husband, because I don't believe in that. I think you should always communicate effectively with each other. I said, why don't you tell your husband this? Why don't you tell him, I'm really passionate about this. I really believe in this, and I know you don't, but just believe in my belief. And just trust me. She called me back a few hours later, and she said after talking to her husband for 30 minutes, her husband supported her, and she joined some of the work that we do. And I know it can be tough. I'm not saying it can be easy, but if your spouse, your family members will believe in you, if you show them why, if you have a real desire and passion for it. So that's what I would recommend. One last thing about it, don't try to prove them wrong.
Yes.
Do it for you. Because if you're always going out there, you can use it as motivation, but do it for yourself first, because that's when it's very authentic.
Absolutely. I had the similar situation when I just began my first steps. My husband didn't support me a lot. And first I tried to fight to prove him that I'm right, but then I sit down and I just spoke with him and I said, this is what I want, and just give me like 1 year, maybe 2 years, and if it doesn't work, then I will listen to you, but just let me try and know is it working or not. And it's worked very good actually. Yes, so it's better don't fight than just speak, communicate, isn't it? Oh, thank you so much. That's a great question. Okay.
Sure.
When the person is starting to act towards his goal, he definitely faces some obstacles, and sometimes he feels like it's all the world against you. When you start doing this first step, especially. So what should they do at that moment? How to stay like on track when everything goes wrong?
Well, don't focus so much on the don't focus on the present result. Focus on the end. See, James Allen in his book As a Man Thinketh, I think says it brilliantly. He says, we don't receive what we want in life, we receive who we become. So you have to become what you want. What I was saying is, it's the start that stops most people, so just keep going. Every day builds on the next day, that builds on the next day. But don't let your present results dictate how you feel. So focus on the end result like you're already there. So if you want to earn more money, if you want to be financially independent, if you want to be at your ideal body weight, if you want to have a happy relationship, see yourself already there.
Mm-hmm.
If you had the money, the relationship, how would that feel? And start living your life every day like that. And your mind is going to play tricks on you. It's going to say, what are you talking about? Your mind is going to really fight you on it in the beginning because our paradigms are strong. But as you change, as you keep doing this with repetition, because the only way that you can really change a paradigm is through spaced repetition. There's another way through an emotional impact, but usually that's when something that's not very good, like 9/11 in the States, when somebody passes away. But stay focused on the end results because it's going to get a lot easier day 2 as it was day 1 in 30 days. But give yourself time and really ask yourself why you want to achieve it. Because if the why is strong enough, I promise you'll keep going on to achieving it.
Yeah, so everything, the bigger goal you have, the bigger concentration you have towards that goal, the easier it will be concentrate on the end positive result and go through
Yeah,
those.
and like for me, I focus on 1 or 2 goals at a time. I don't focus on more than that. Because if I do, it's like I'm focusing on too many things. It's like focusing on nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, one of the most common questions from my students with who I'm working, I have all the time, and the question is how to be able to do everything on the time. So to have enough time for your family, for your business, or for example, if you have several businesses at the time, and at the same time to have enough time for yourself.
Well, you've got to manage your activities. Time can't be managed. We all have the same amount of time in a day. What I was taught by Bob to do is write out the night before my top 6 activities that I'm going to do. And I always look at what is my highest, like if it's for business, I always look at what is my highest income producing activity going to be. So I'll write down the activities the night before, and then I don't go to number 2 until I finish number 1. So no matter, everybody's busy. I love when people say I'm so busy. Well, you're not the only one. It's just about how we manage our activities. Our activities are key. The people who just sit and study but don't take action, the results are not going to change without the action. So the activities are very important. And really get in the habit of reading and studying those activities. There was a great book by a gentleman named Brian Tracy, and he wrote a book called Eat That Frog.
Yeah.
And he talks just about this. So
that's amazing book, by the way. I recommend it everyone, and I'm thinking I'll put that book on my blog that people can read it again. Okay, and one of the last question, in your opinion, how important to study personal growth, and what method of studying will be most productive?
I think personal growth. I was just listening to another mentor of mine that I studied a lot. His name is Jim Rohn. He recently passed, and he said it's more important. Spend your time more on studying you than your job, and you will create a fortune. I think studying personal growth is the number one. It should be the number one priority if you want to really create long-term success outside of your family and your personal relationship with your creator. But I would recommend mentorship, number 1. finding somebody who teaches it and who has been taught properly. And, I was fortunate enough to be taught by the best teacher in the world on human potential and success, Bob Proctor, as were you. I recommend reading daily. I recommend listening to audios daily. I recommend rewriting your goals, and really, really highly recommend imagination.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never heard our CEO at Life Success Productions, Sandy Gallagher, teach visioneering, I would really recommend get your hands on that, because she teaches how important imagination is. She makes it so simple. So those are my top 5 things that I would recommend. Really look at it like this. Spend an hour a day studying. I like to call it an hour of power. Just 1 hour a day. Just like if you go to the gym for an hour and take care of your body. Spend an hour a day on studying. If you do that over the course of the next year, I promise you won't even be able to recognize your old results.
Mm-hmm. But look, so many people, like for example me, yes, from age of 15 till age of 23, I've been reading a lot of books on personal development. I've been reading Napoleon Hill, I've been reading James Allen, so many books. I had okay life for middle class people. I always wanted to live in English-speaking countries, so I moved in UK. That was my big dream come true. But then I become homeless because I didn't have job. I couldn't speak English normally. I couldn't speak English. So my point is, I've been reading a lot, but I didn't have any results. And so many as well, they're writing to me like, I've been reading, I've been going to seminars, but nothing happened. And I know the answer already, but I want to hear it from you in your opinion. Why it's happening? Why some people, they read the books, like Bob saying, you store the knowledge in your brain, but why not everyone get the results?
Well, I didn't get the results for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I had the same frustration that your clients are telling you. And I almost gave up on personal development, and I'm so grateful that I didn't, and I continued on, because I was wondering if it really worked. The reason is you have to apply what you're reading, and most people are going and reading book after book. It's not about how many books you can read, it's about the way you study. I was taught by Bob how to study. He'll have me read sometimes 1 chapter for 90 days of a certain book. So it's not about how fast, but you've got to apply it, because your results are not going to change until you change the paradigm. The paradigm is a multitude of habits stored in a section of our subconscious mind. And the paradigm is the primary cause of our results. So until you change that paradigm, nothing's going to change. Let me give you an example. You see people all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
I can only talk about the United States more because that's what I'm familiar with. But they're going on diet after diet after diet, this next great thing, right? And you'll see people start eating better, exercising more, start losing weight, but then it comes back on. Well, the reason it came back on because they never changed their self-image. So they use their will, and will only last for so long. So if you want to start reading, you want to internalize it and emotionalize it and apply it right away. You're going to see your results change, because once you change that paradigm, the only way you could do it, like we said earlier, is through spaced repetition. But you really want to start seeing yourself at the end result and emotionalizing and applying what you're reading, applying what you're studying, applying what you're teaching, Ina, applying everything. Then the paradigm's going to shift, and you're going to change the programming, and your body's going to go into action, and the result is going to change.
Absolutely agree with you. Once you start applying it, life just change. All this knowledge, they become from small puzzles in one big picture, so you have such a clear vision where to go. Well, thank you, Arash, so much for this amazing interview. And before we will finish, what would you like to tell to our listeners, and what they should do to begin? What should they do to begin their journey to achieve success, to achieve some results in their life? What action step they should do?
I would say first make a decision. Make a decision that enough's enough. I'm not going to mess around anymore, and I'm going to do whatever it takes, not what's convenient. I wouldn't worry about how it's going to happen. Just focus on what you want and why you want it. And for the people who want to get it on a much bigger scale, I would get mentors. I would find a coach who would help them. I would find a program that would help them that's live, and I would just focus on exactly what they want to achieve, not what they don't want. Keep all their energy on what they want. And as they do it, they're going to change their results. But the number one thing that I would recommend to anybody is get into coaching, find the right coach that'll help you, because we all have blind spots.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Well, thank you so much for the time you gave us today. And I will definitely share with you all the comments I will receive from our interview. And my huge gratitude, and see you soon in Canada.
Okay, see you in a few weeks. Bye.
See you in a few weeks. Thank you.